Hello, it is a no ums, no ahs report video number 7 for it is what? It is February the 26th, 2022. So, what are my confessions since my last video, Father? I did indeed track down a couple of videos, most significantly the how to stop mumbling video by Cat Elizabeth, which has these various exercises of what to do to try and become better at enunciating, which I've actually been pretty consistent in doing those exercises each day before reading Thomas Hardy poetry out loud, which is probably a good way of practicing those skills. And indeed, one of the steps in Cat Elizabeth's video was read something out loud and then listen back to not getting sloppy. What I need to do is actually listen to myself talking. I have listened to myself on various review videos that I've done since that. I definitely found, I think one video I was doing I was I think one of the review videos I did fairly well. It was a fiction review of Martha Wells' Murderbot Diaries. I did a fairly good job of, if my memory serves me right, of not umming and ahhing. But I did a non-fiction review of uh, Desmond Cole's book, The Skin We're In, where I'm pretty sure I didn't have a clear idea what I was going to say, and I went on, and there was a lot of umming and ahhing there. So I can see glimpses of myself getting better, but I can also see where I stumble into areas where, wow, okay, suddenly I'm umming and ahhing all over the place. And yeah, yeah, that's probably to be expected. And it's probably something to keep in mind that a part of what my umming and ahhing stems out of is not having my thoughts in order. And when I don't have my thoughts in order, it's a lot easier to slip back into uh, um, uh, actually sort of maybe that sort that sort of that sort of filler language. So it's not just a speech thing. There's a speech element to it, but it is also just being generally not having my thoughts together. I'm not somebody who has them on the tip of my tongue, and sometimes I just don't have them. And that's something else to recognize. Sometimes maybe I just don't have anything to say, and that's a good. When I start finding myself umming and ahhing through a video, maybe that's a sign that maybe this isn't something that maybe I need to go away and think about it some more, or B, it's not something I need to share with anyone else. Sometimes I and ah, and I well, that's one hypothesis. We'll see if that actually bears out, and I'll obviously go from a case to case basis on that. So yeah, that's sort of what's been going on. I've got my original no ums and no ahs list up here. I'm just going to take a look through it. So it's closing the mouth tight at the end of sentences for a couple of days, being comfortable with silence, which is a hard one, is definitely a hard one. Recording and listening to myself. I'm at least listening to my reviews because I want to sometimes edit them and put them out, but I could be listening more to poems. I mean, I'm stumbled into a pretty ideal spot at the moment. I'm not actually greatly enjoying Thomas Hardy's poems, but it's definitely a thought to have a bunch of small works to be able to listen to and to focus on getting the words right in a poem, which is a good place to work on my reading skills. The other place I'm working on my reading skills is at work, where I read out to one of my residents each night for a very short little, like 5-10 minute session. It's usually 5 minute session. So doing that. Number 4 was the whole replacing, how do I do this? Period? Question mark? Is to put actual, say, question mark, period, comma, into my speech patterns. That's something I haven't done. I think I'm too much working, a working speaker. I want to put things out on video, and I don't really have the time to. I think I would just find myself getting into a different habit, which is not the one I want to get into. I mean, I want to disrupt the old habit, which if I'm focusing, I think I can do. So it's more about working on my focus and on my preparation, as I said. Number 5 is taking a pause and having a breath, which is what I did after I read that, which is good. Number 6 is that making that list of filler words, that being thing, actually, basically, so. And also noting that I do repetitions where I will just say the same word or phrase over a good couple of times before I get myself back on track. That is another habit I've noticed about myself. And doing a mumbly tangent where I start mumbling off a kind of a tangentially related thought that suddenly came up in the middle of my delivery, which oftentimes I won't even explain it. It's in my head, and I'll start talking to that thought versus explaining what that thought was and bringing it in, or just recognizing, oh, that is a tangent. Leave that aside for the moment, and you can come back to it later. And maybe developing the skill to go where, oh, that is inspiration. Let me explain this inspiration to you and then talk about it, versus, oh, I have an inspiration, and then just start talking about it without doing any explanation that would actually bring you, the viewer, into this conversation with me. Number 7 was the bell, which, no. My version of the bell is to pause and go, no ums, no ahs. It's just like use that phrase for myself when I notice myself umming and ahhing in a video. Yeah. Which, if it's a public video, that's not that great. If I can, well, it's all right if it's a public video where I can just then go back and go, there's where I say no no ah, and edit out the whole little exchange and then put it out, because I don't need to have my own personal bell broadcast in videos that people have to try and listen to. I'm like, why the fuck did that guy suddenly go no no ah in the middle of his video? Number 8 is breaking the sentences into chunks and then taking a pause. This is definitely something that I need to work on, of recognizing. I think that's a part of that is a part of work. That is a part of working on preparation, where I can say, here's a complete thought. Deliver this complete thought. Take a pause. There's my next complete thought. Take a pause. Take a breath. Continue on. Number 9, make eye contact, which I think is a good thing for me. It's a part of the focus of things, is to keep my eye to the camera. I don't know if you can see, I've got my little shield here, and let's see if I can get it back on. My little shield that goes across the viewfinder, my screen. So I'm not looking into my eyes, I'm looking into the camera eye, to keep my focus going, and to also work on, hey, making this more engaging. I'm looking at you. Of course, I don't have to be so maniacal in it. I doubt if I will be maniacal in it, but crazy eyes. But eye contact is a part of working on developing focus throughout the whole video. And also going, okay, I can take a pause and then come back again. And that's where I'm coming back to. That's not bad. Number 10 is taking a moment to calm yourself down. As with being comfortable with silence, just taking a moment to relax. If I was in front of a live audience, that probably, it would seem like an eternity to me, but realize that for an audience, it just gives them a moment to also gather themselves. Yes. And then you can go back. And the great thing about me recording all this stuff, if for me, I come back in, I watch the video and it's like, wow, that really was an eternity, I can always just snip it out, or I can snip out half of it or something like that. Number 11 is hands out gestures, gestures to kind of activate you, make your language more, make your language and your delivery and all that pop, and to help with the word flow, to help with the thought flow. Yeah. Number 12, short sentences, which goes back to number 8 of breaking the sentences up. Number 13 is cutting out hedge words, probably, hopefully, sort of, which I'm not going to cut out all hedge words, but it is a thought of, it becomes another filler word. Are you saying probably, hopefully, sort of, because you're trying to qualify your speech, or are you using those words as more filler words, as a filler to, like an or an ah, to try and work on the distance? There's something to be said for making a hard and fast rule at the beginning, saying, no, I'm not going to use any hedge words, and then once you've cut them all out, or you've tried to cut them all out, hopefully what stays, what is left behind are meaningful hedge words versus filler words. Number 14 is doing that prep. And yes, prep work is extremely important. It's funny how just using a list like this and going through it again is a good re-emphasis for me of how having that kind of a structure, using it, I mean, it's like I'm not scripting everything. I'm just making, here's some points for me to hit, is a really useful thing and helps me deliver a speech, a talk, much more fluently, and a lot less thrashing around like, oh God, what am I going to say next? Kind of panic. It's like, no, you've done the prep work beforehand. And I think that's a really important thing to think of as I'm going forward with reviews, is to not script out, but have an outline and follow the outline. And if suddenly you think of other things, you can add them on. But if you don't think of anything else, you just follow that outline, and it will take you through in a fairly confident and clear way, depending on how good your outline is. But at least you'll have something. You'll have some framework, and that can be really useful. And number 15, nobody cares about this. Nobody cares about this. Nobody is going to particularly notice how I'm improving or falling off. Nobody really cares. A lot of people, when they come to my channel, I think it's one of these fellowship things of like, oh, there's Jay. He's an okay guy. I'll hang out with him for a little while. They're not there with their clipboards judging you, counting your ums and ahs, not the regular people who are coming in. So just take it easy, take a break, and go from there. All right, that is my no ums video number 7, which I guess I decided I wanted to just do a little review, reinforcement for myself of how I'm doing here. What things would I like to do going forward? Well, I think one of my goals was to try and find somebody to subscribe to who did weekly or did semi-regular speech videos. I'm still searching for that. Unfortunately, a lot of the people who work in this field are really interested in selling you whatever their program is. I might just have to accept it and subscribe to one of those people and realize that they'll give you little tidbits, but they'll say, oh, but sign up for my life-changing program. I'm not going to go with some bro dude who wants to teach me how to be the ultimate businessman. That's not what I'm going for. I'm just going for, I'd like to be somebody who can talk in a clear and approachable manner. I'm not looking for world domination and for women and men to love me and dogs to look up at me adoringly. Dogs look up at me adoringly anyways. They just like treats and regular walking. That is my own little tangent because I've got my little fellow Theo asleep at my feet now. So yeah, my goal, find somebody to subscribe to and find another video with some more tips or exercises and work my way through that. Just to try and keep it rattling around in my mind. This doesn't have to be, oh, I'm going to follow somebody to the end of the earth and become their acolyte. It's like, no, I just want that. I'm trying to extend out. If I can do this for like 6 months of just trying to work on my speech each day and keep it slightly at the front of my mind, I think by the end of 6 months, hopefully I'll integrated a certain amount of improvements so that when I let it slide, hopefully I'll have a bank of muscles built up that I can carry forward in my video enthusiasm, my video hobby here. All right, I will leave it there. More videos later.